All right, welcome to SJGames Live, everyone. It is Thursday again, and we are here with today with Steve Jackson and Derek Piercy to talk about the Illuminati confirmed Kickstarter project that has relaunched again today. Hi, Steve. Hi, Derek.
Greetings.
Hello.
So we are launched again today. We'll be dropping a link in the chat here. But this is for Illuminati Confirmed, a turn-based computer game version of Illuminati, or inspired by the original Illuminati, more akin to the old INWO game, right, Derek? Which
Exactly.
You worked on as well. What did you do with the old INWO game?
Yep. I'm sorry. What?
What did you do for the INWO?
I helped build the team that ended up doing all the production for it. It was the early days of the trading card game Insanity, and we figured out how to color art in Photoshop so that we wouldn't necessarily have to pay painters to do card art, and spent several months heads down basically going through that. Steve had taken months before that making a really clever game adaptation of Illuminati into a CCG format, and I was relieved that we were going to have the art and the design and the presentation to match it.
And of course, before that, you and Jeff Koke held a didactic gun to my head and convinced me that we should do the product in the first place.
Well, yeah.
And that was a good thing.
Well, it was always your choice. It was always your decision. No, it was. It's flattering that you give me that much credit, but I was so excited by the project that it was all I could think about for many months, even afterwards. And I've always had it on my mind, and I'm really glad to be able to return to it in some way now.
Oh yeah.
So that was INWO, the collectible card game. Tell us more about what Illuminati Confirmed is now today, Derek.
So Illuminati Confirmed is actually it's what the fans very clearly told us that they wanted was something more. So the original plan was that it was just going to be updated Illuminati, because we thought that was really more what people wanted, and people really love so much the different sort of eras of Illuminati. Some people have played the Pocket Box game, which was recently reprinted, and is really great to have and to hold now. That's set in the 80s, 70s, and 80s with that kind of era of conspiracy. And some people really love the 90s version of the game. And some people are, no surprise, excited about, what a now version of the game would look like. And so we have 3 different game modes so that you can play using either black and white art with the more simple rules, with the more sophisticated rules of New World Order from the 90s, or with a slightly modified New World Order system in the modern day. The New World Order and the now era are essentially the same game with different cards and combinations and more content. It's just going to be a lot easier to put out digital cards and continue growing the game than it would have been with a physical card game.
Great. And we launched today on Kickstarter, right?
Yes, we are live now.
And let's see, what are we? How are we up to right now?
We were over 50% last I looked, so hooray.
If you check over on our chat, if you're watching here on Twitch with us, there's a link right there that goes to the Kickstarter right now.
Thanks.
So how did the collaboration for this Illuminati Confirmed project that your studio is putting out come about, Derek?
Weird story. When I was in high school, I was in love with the original Illuminati game, and I tried to program I was running a bulletin board system at the time out of my bedroom that the old school people would call with their computers and connect to other computers. And I tried to make a game of Illuminati that you could play over a BBS, and it didn't quite work out. It didn't at all work out. It was just not a good idea. but I'd always had dangling in the back of my head, like, Illuminati would be a great computer game. It's just begging for it, but I couldn't imagine how to do it. Just imagining how large of a table that you need to have enough people to play a big game of Illuminati seemed it seemed unwieldy. And I finally I finally had an interesting idea. I ran it past Steve, and he was really interested and very uh, uh, very very encouraging as well, which I was really grateful to hear.
And in the way that we seem to be with the Illuminati, the original conception then had to wait 30 years for execution, but we do that, and here it is.
Yeah.
Long-term plans.
Long-term plans.
Plots. Long-term plots.
Yes. Almost, dare I say it, a conspiracy.
Mm.
But it's all
So
perfectly
how long
legal,
have you been a
honest.
fan of Illuminati, Doug? You said all the way back to like making your own BBS script back in the day that you attempted to. How long have you been involved in being a fan of Illuminati?
Mid 80s. And I've like to say, I think one of my largest debts of nerd gratitude that I owe is to Steve and his team for all of the Pocket Box games that they put out, crediting sort of movies and sources and books that were sort of generally evocative of whatever it was they were doing. And that was as a sophomore in high school, that was my shopping list in 1985 for what I would have to go out and so, oh, that's obviously something I'm going to have to go read up on. And before we had Wikipedia, that was how geeks cross-pollinated.
Yeah, I picked a few things up off of the bibliography list of some of the products back in the day too. Let's see. So we are currently, where are we? Funding here. So we're currently over halfway to the goal of the project, the base goal. Do you have any teases about the future? Maybe some stretch goals that might be coming you can hint at, or anything that might be coming along once we pass that funding goal?
Well, we really see we see a great opportunity to begin simply by fleshing out more of what was put in place for New World Order. A lot of the variations and a lot of the permutations, even with 400 plus cards in the original card set, there wasn't enough space on the printed sheets to take every idea that Steve had and flesh them out in different degrees by alignment or by type of card, by attribute. And not that you want to necessarily go all the way granular all the way down, but there are some there are a lot of basic things that we would want to do that we want to do, but more importantly, there are still just a lot of cards that we haven't that we think would fit in the rules, but we don't know how they would fit yet in the structure of sort of the Illuminati universe. And so we want to keep going and basically put out more cards, not simply just to put out, not just for the joy of putting out new cards, but for remaining timely in terms of updating cards so that they can reflect what we're seeing in the world around us, but also to have really keeping true to the spirit of what Steve did in the first place, having sets of very well balanced cards that play off of each other and don't dramatically disrupt the game. So basically, we want to keep putting out cards, short version, but we don't want to. We're not going to do it just to blow the game up, which is something I've seen some other games do.
All right.
Steve,
Go ahead.
I know you've been on you've been in these conversations as well. I think you might have another more pithy way to speak to that.
Well, basically, yes, more cards. And as the conspiracy theorists out there come up with more crazy ideas. We want to be no farther than a half step behind them in assigning them balanced stats and putting them in the game for you to believe or mock as you wish.
That's the pithy thing. Thank you.
So let's go over some of the basics of what Illuminati Confirmed is. This is a online computer-based game. How many players are going to be involved? About how long are you looking for a game to play? Is this computer, phones, console? What are we looking at as far as the basics of that go?
So, so first in terms of platforms, we originally designed this to be a desktop, laptop, tablet kind of game. So many people have pushed us to go full mobile. I didn't believe it when I ran Civilization 6 on my phone, but it ran and it was kind of playable. So, I mean, if people are buying Civilization, then I mean,
right.
Then okay. We're doing our development in Unreal Engine, which has a lot of flexibility in terms of platforms that it supports, and lots of really good optimization for various platforms as well, especially kind of some of the lower powered ones. So from what we've seen so far in testing, it should be able to be deployed onto a wide range of platforms. Whether or not it will be a great experience is something that we're gonna have to think about. But it's an up to 6 player game. We actually have it working now with 6 players, which is fun. Our first little alpha. We have you'll be able to do local multiplayer, and you'll also if we meet our goal, we'll be able to stand up online services so that you could play it anywhere in the world, with anyone, interestingly, or just with your friends. We'll have the now near canonical alphanumeric sort of room codes that you can create and text your friends and everyone joins or whatever. But for single player games, we have an idea. We were originally looking at kind of almost a brute force version of offering an AI. I was talking to some guys who used to work at Google who believed, after I talked through sort of what the hooks were in for the game, that they could write a machine learning. They could basically train a system to play Illuminati, and they said that basically the only problem would be to make sure that you save it at different increments, and that's how you get your sort of easy, medium, hard, because
difficulty levels.
It would get really good really fast. I don't know that we're going to go that route. It would be technically complicated. It might be a bit of a distraction. It would be fun to do later, but one of the now former SJGames people, and I'm blanking on his name right now. Steve, what was the gentleman's name who'd come up with the single player idea?
That would be Alex Yeager.
Thank you. Sorry, Alex. My apologies. Alex Yeager came up with a brilliant and really, really just cleverly simple way of running a solitaire game of Illuminati, where basically it's you against Cthulhu. And Cthulhu,
as it always is, really.
As it really always is,
Right,
isn't it?
right.
And it's really, it seems, it doesn't seem to be difficult to implement. It would be really straightforward in the framework that we already have. And so I think we're going to try that first, because it just sounds really fun. And
I look forward to playing Alex's game on the computer, but I hope that the machine learning thing works out, because it would be a dramatic demonstration of machine learning improving our everyday lives.
Yeah.
Those of us whose everyday life involves playing video games.
Yeah, no, I was I was a little delighted by how into it these guys were. They were very excited, and they really thought it was a good application. They're basically ex machine learning people from Google who are running around looking for problems to solve with their training. So fun. We'll see.
We do have some questions from the chat. So somewhere along the development of this, there was the concept of having different seasons release cards and having maybe subscriptions to those seasons or not. Has that made it into the final project?
So yeah, I got a little sidetracked before when you'd asked about future plans and cards and things. So the we instead of thinking of them as instead of thinking of them as seasons, we're really thinking of it more as as larger sets of cards. These seasons were going to be small runs, basically like what we could do in 2 months or so, and but they would be relatively small themes, and the idea was that they were seasons that we could return to and do. We were going to do like sort of personalities, people as one season, because we're not, we don't have space in the original Illuminati Confirmed, the sort of core set to add all the people in that Illuminati New World Order had. Now, of course, most of the people in New World Order are now dead, but so their equivalents, their modern day equivalents. So we were going to introduce the Society of Assassins, and people cards and cards that do bad things to people. But then in looking at it, really, it looked for almost all the categories that we had, there were about, actually, instead of like a 20 to 40 card season, there were more like 100 well-rounded cards that really fit the category. And so what we're looking at now is just producing sets, so that they're not cards, and you're not really like trading them. It's not imagined as a deck building environment out of the gate, but the idea being that if you're playing a game with other people and they own some set and you own a set, that it's visible which sets are available to play, and you can choose. We've been tossing around ideas about voting and stuff like that. I don't know how far we're going to go with that, but basically it's like, if we're playing Dominion and I have this one expansion for Dominion and I bring it over to your house, then we can play it together, and you don't have to buy it as long as I'm there playing with you. And it's the same basic idea, so that no one feels like they're at a disadvantage because, oh well, he's playing with the cards from this new Dominion expansion that I don't have the cards for, and he's just running all over me. Not that I think we would really want to do something like that with the set of cards. They shouldn't be that badly out of balanced. So I don't play with the alchemy set from Dominion, but the thing that Steve impressed upon me the most when we first started talking about this was that, above all, it needs to be fun. And so we've been trying to make all of our decisions erring on the side of fun. And so
that's a good side to err on.
Yeah.
You want people to be at least smiling when they play this game.
Yeah.
They don't have to laugh out loud every minute, because it's not Saturday Night Live. But yes, it's got to be fun.
Yeah, I'll take a sharp exhale.
Yes. A little smoke once in a while.
Another person asks, so what's the music and sound implementation going to look like for this?
So that's also a really good question. I've been talking with different with some different people about doing music. I hadn't thought as seriously about the music originally, and I was talking with someone who's more of like a podcast soundtrack environmentalist, environmental music person. And then things got a little out of hand, as they do sometimes, where we decided, wouldn't it be great if we defined different sets of instruments or sounds for each Illuminati, so they had their own personality, basically. And we had a main theme where the different sounds sort of come together and sort of work together, and then different themes come in and push others out, and then it culminates in some little climax. But then in the gameplay, you start off. So if I'm playing the network, I start off with my sort of techno soundtrack that's like the network's version of the Illuminati theme, and then but that you don't want to hear that the whole time. It starts to, it's after a minute or two, it starts to fade away into background noise, and so it's more of the you're hearing the sound effects of actions in the game taking place. But then as you're approaching the end of the game, as people are getting close to winning, whoever is winning, their theme comes back in for everyone, with like the second person, with the second place player as the sort of supporting instruments and theme. And so the winner basically has their victory song forced upon all of the people who are about to lose.
That's really
I have
cool.
not heard this one before. I like this.
Oh yeah, well, this is the first time I've talked about it publicly. Or even actually just outside of the little team here, but because it's trivial. If you can, if you think to do it ahead of time, it's trivial to do with today's equipment. If you just
Sure, a programmatically generated soundtrack,
basically,
and you can take it farther. But what you've described is plenty for a start.
yeah, I think so. Thank you.
All right, so then we'll wait on. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to ask them in the Twitch chat, and we'll try to get them asked before we run out of time here. Meantime, is there a demo available yet? And if not, do we have an idea of roughly when?
So there's a very early video of a demo that you can see if you go into the Kickstarter, click on that first main image up at the top with the big play button on it, and it will show you basically the state of the game right now, or yesterday actually. And we spent a lot of time doing more underpinning things, which are less glamorous and harder to demonstrate, but we're finally at the point where the ball is rolling. Let's see, to make some metaphors. We expect that we're going to be making some very quick progress now, and the goal is to have a playable demo demonstratable before the end of the Kickstarter. And then at one of the backer levels, if you get the early all-in level, then you will get early access to the playable alpha, only on desktop for reasons that we were talking about earlier. I don't want to have to support every kind of Android device.
This is something that I have been pressing Derek on, not only because I want to play a demo myself, but because I think you, as the willing victims, need to have the opportunity to see what it is you're going to be playing. Ideally, before the campaign is over, even if you've already supported.
Yeah.
But if you don't see a demo before the campaign, you'll see one shortly after that, because it's that close.
Yeah, it's really close, and I feel good enough about it now that we've done enough of the hard work. Now it's well, I guess it's still hard work, but for me it's more of it's much more gratifying, because you literally see the results on your screen as it's coming together. It's almost like if we had to if there was some scripting language that was between Quark Express, our old publishing layout package that I was using at SJGames, and actually seeing things on the screen, and you had to create some crazy script in the back that would let you kind of let your magazine layout appear. That would have been very time consuming, and it's great to finally be at the satisfying part where we're looking at funny things on the screen.
That was what coding was like in the good ancient old days. You wrote 20 lines, you made one key combo to commit it, and then you could see how the program ran.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. And I had my teachers used to talk about getting all their punch cards together, and they would carry them down the hall and hand them to someone, and then the person would come back and go, or whatever the answer was. And so that's we've made some progress.
Do we have, when the game is funded, if it funds, hopefully it does, do we have an idea when the planned launch is going to be?
So I'm trying to be conservative so that maybe I'll actually be accurate. And so I'm saying November for when we would actually have have the game out. And really, right now, the biggest bottleneck is the art. A lot more artists are working during the pandemic than I thought were going to be. I thought there would be more people who would go, oh, I'd love to do some art now. I've been in seclusion, but no, it turns out artists don't like interacting with people anyway, or leaving their house for the most part. So they've hardly noticed that this has happened. And so the just getting the art produced is actually going to take longer than what we believe we have left to do on the game, just the core game.
Well, I still think that people would be happy, just the way every so often, if you're following a webcomic, it comes up in black and white because the artist ran into a personal life issue and didn't have time to color it immediately, but it'll be colored in a week or so. I suspect that people would be happy with a game sooner that had some filler art, just knowing that when they came back to it, they would see the real art doing the real tricks.
Well, yeah. Well, so in fact, that is, it turns out, one of the beautiful advantages of using New World Order as our jumping off point. That all that art already exists, and really what we're trying to do is to simply make the hard work is really all this knitting repetitively we're going to be doing on the back end to enable all the different powers of all the different cards. If you're familiar, for those people who are familiar with Illuminati, it's I would say a fairly straightforward game if it were that, but it's a deceptive game of betraying your friends and really fun. But Illuminati New World Order took it to a different level of complexity in terms of every card is a special card and has a special power and has a special trick. Sometimes it's very straightforward, sometimes it's more complicated. And in my early assessment, so there are two kinds of cards in New World Order and in Illuminati Confirmed. The group cards that you're adding into your conspiracy, and the plot cards that you use to
That's what things
into your you're literally plotting with these cards. So no surprise, they're the equivalent of the special cards from the older versions of Illuminati, but vastly more plentiful. Half of the cards are plot cards in New World Order. And so the plot cards, actually, for the game engine that I had designed, almost all of the plot cards were going to work perfectly. The group cards were, a lot of them were much more custom, and only about like 3/5 of the group cards were going to work just with the engine the way it was planned. So but once we have that engine, we have all the INWO data in our database. We have all of the art, the original beautiful color art that was the files we sent to the printer to actually make the cards in the first place. So we should actually have like a whole game to play as soon as that comes together. Now,
question: are you comfortable yet talking about the way the art changes, or do we just leave that reference for people to wonder about?
So So originally we were talking about doing this flexible changeable art, and that's more expensive to do than just doing straight up art. And so and I'll give an example of it in just a second because it's just so glorious. The the tempering that I'll put ahead of time is that but we knew it was going to be expensive to do. We were realistic about it, and we set a large goal for ourselves in the previous Kickstarter, and we didn't make it. So people are delighted by the art, but they really just want Illuminati, and they just want to be able to play it. And a lot of people really want New World Order, and so we're starting there. And if we get to, I think if we can convince people that we're giving them Illuminati, I think that they will be so delighted by the dynamic art that they would that they'll pay for it or not. But an example is that often in Illuminati, because one of the core mechanisms is how you can connect groups together due to their alignment. So if you have the CIA is violent criminal, taking over the mafia is very easy because they're also violent criminal. So you have an enormous advantage in sort of putting those two groups together like a really bizarre game of dominoes. But that's really underselling your game, Steve. I'm so sorry. The
If I can sell as many Illuminati as they sell dominoes, I'll be happy.
Fair enough. But so people have always wanted to play with alignments on the cards of different versions of Illuminati, to try and turn a group fanatic or to make them weird, because some Illuminati have collecting weird groups as their victory condition. So and the like. But we always thought, well, with a computer game, it's great because then you don't have to keep track of like, well, which group did I remove the liberal alignment from versus, it's just, it's a real nuisance to do as human beings. Computers do not care at all about that. And they can just change the text on the screen and then it's different, or change the icon in our case. But we thought, well, what if people didn't really notice so much that we changed it? What if like the change is so clean that it doesn't draw their attention to it? So we thought, well, we could have a series of cues that could sort of communicate, conservative or liberal or government or corporate or weird or straight or criminal fanatic, and then have the art change based on what alignment the card is now.
Please tell me you've got something you can hold up or screen share or something.
Do you really want to? I'll tell you what, I will show something that I don't think has ever been seen before, and that may not ever get seen, but I will show it here. This was one of my favorite. So these are the pencils for a group. Okay. I got it right here. Let me share. Dun, 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 dun. Actually, I'll tell you what, I'm going to start with a simpler example, and then I'll show you the outrageous one that I'm not entirely sure I should be showing anyway, but here we are. So we're going to start with Televangelists because they are fun. So we had in the original Illuminati, we had TV preachers, but we didn't. But we don't really call them TV preachers anymore. We call them televangelists. So that's what they are here. Now I'm turning on my share screen. Can you enable screen sharing for me, please?
We'll get that real quick.
Thank you so much.
There you
go. Okay, so these are the televangelists. By default, they're straight and fanatic. If you remove their fanaticism, then they're a little bit different. He doesn't have the Illuminati pin on his collar, which is very subtle, but the background is different. If you make them corporate, then he has all this advertising behind him and these big speakers. If he's conservative, then his outfit changes. If he's liberal, his outfit also changes in a different way. And if he's government, then instead of all the advertising and the speaker system, then he has, like he's at a rally, this government things. If he's peaceful, this is I think fanatic peaceful. We forgot to take the fanatic face off of him here. If he's straight laced and not fanatic, then I think that's straight fanatic peaceful. I think we ended up changing these. If he's criminal, then he's got all the dough out in front. If he's violent, he's carrying a gun. If he's weird, this is my favorite. Oh gosh, I love that one so much. We're thinking of ways to leverage this art. We did a lot of cards this way with their permutations and everything. Like, for example, how do I like the otaku? The otaku are fanatic, so we have this kind of the way that we tend to signal fanaticism is just like these big bulging eyes looking directly out at the viewer. But so they're peaceful fanatic. If they're government, then they're in like a big rally. If they're corporate, then they're in a mall somewhere. So we just have different costumes for the guys if they're conservatives. So cowboy hats and do-rags and stuff like that if they're liberals. If they're peaceful, then everyone's being more calm. We don't have the lunatic guy there. What is it? Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. And then they're violent, and then it's actually a mob. But if they're weird, then we have then it's actually a furry model. If they're straight, then she's in a schoolgirl dress ish.
Not merely a furry, but a bondage furry.
A bondage furry. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Thank you. If they're criminal, then there's someone in the foreground trying to take a picture of the model from behind. If they're criminal weird, and if they're so you see how the permutations start to make it kind of magical. I think I have one more super handy I can show. Okay, this is probably, do I have, okay, yeah, I do have the colors, yay. Okay, so local police. So conservative, violent, straight, and there are a couple of things in here that we would tweak. But so if you have a military police, then the clothing and his car changes up. If they're corporate police, then guess what? Mall cop. So this is just normal with normal conservative mustache. If he's not conservative or liberal, he has no facial hair. And if he's liberal, then he has a little twirly mustache that we probably need to exaggerate. If he's peaceful, he's got a bunch of roses there, flowers. He's going to be nice to somebody. If he's not peaceful, violent, then he has a donut and nothing else on the side next to him. But if he's violent, which they are by default, then he has a big rifle sticking up. If he's
Question, Derek.
Yep.
Is his hair a changeable element, or is that? Yeah, I see it's different in some places.
Yeah. So if he's not straight, or so if he's straight, he's got a buzz cut. If he's not straight or weird, then he just has head of hair. And then if he's weird, then he has
right
Dragon Ball Z hair.
I was thinking that the liberal cop could have just shoulder lengthy hair.
Yeah. Nowadays. Yeah, we've been trying hard not to sort of step on the various elements. So, like if we use hair in one thing, then we can't use it couldn't use it in another one.
Yeah.
We save the eyes in the background, of course, for fanatic, because then what isn't funny about that?
That looks like your normal traffic stop, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's the average day in Portland. Let's see if you I will do one more just because this is I never get to show these, and we put a lot of work into them, and the artist Jeff is just so incredible, Jeff Lance. So by default,
I like these, and that's why I twisted your arm to show them.
No, thanks, man. So conspiracy theorists are weird. There's a mad conspiracy, and who knows who Mr. X is. If they're, let's see, how is he government? Right. So we were gonna have like a national flag draped here in the background. We were going to have this be an alpha layer so that we would be able to geo to detect what geo someone was in from their IP, from their public IP address, and then overlay the flag of whatever nation they were in, kind of draped down here. That's maybe a little elaborate. And then if they're corporate, then here he has his 10 years and 10-year employee badge. If he's conservative, then of course, and we know who Mr. Question Mark is. It's George Soros, right? Or if you're liberal, oh, we know who it's is it the dead one? I forget. Anyway, so one of the Koch brothers. If he's peaceful, then he's just reading. He's not maniacal. He's not trying to clip out a book. He's not smoking like a crazy person. Just reading a book, like a conspiracy theorist. If he's violent, then he's ready for action. If he's straight, he has a really well organized murder board.
Yeah. Oh, that's subtle.
And if he's weird, then he has a really crazy murder board. And it didn't quite come through, but what the other change is that when this finally renders the image, and of course when you see it the size of a silver dollar on the screen, you won't be able to make it out. But all of the additional things that we added in the background are all like the most weird conspiracy stuff. This is Bigfoot here in the background and stuff. So just it was an Easter egg for ourselves, but it didn't quite turn out as well as we wanted it to. It just looks like a more crazy murder board, which I guess goes with the straight-laced murder board. If he's criminal, then he's already gotten down. He's already tried to find out who's at the bottom of this and has this guy tied up in the background. And if he's fanatic, then you know who's really behind it. He's very sure.
Oh, and you've changed the file on this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we've got about 5 minutes left and a couple more questions.
Cool.
So I'm going to go ahead and fire off a few more towards you here.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Will there be achievements in the game?
That's a good question. We've been thinking about that. Yes, I want there to be achievements, but we haven't defined what they are yet. We really just want we're focused on getting the core of the game to be as smooth as possible. But I think the illuminated world really lends itself to achievements. I think it's a great medium to comment through, and I look forward to finding out how we can bend that around.
Cool. Some people are really stoked for the music. Can you say who's doing it, and will there be a special edition soundtrack available?
Oh, that's a really good question. Can't say yet. Yes, I want that.
I have a question. Would it trip over the other art changes if the weird question mark picture was Bjorn?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, I don't. Yeah. No. So that would be great. No, I love that callback to Bjorn. Of course, everyone knows the super famous Swedish pink dinosaur child's TV show star from the 90s, Bjorn.
Viking hat, yes.
Yeah, with the Viking, he's got the Viking hat on and everything.
Which you can't have until we get personalities into this, but a little teaser.
Or you just steal the user's profile picture.
That is actually really funny. So as part of an early sort of underground promotion for Illuminati, for Illuminati Confirmed, we actually made Bjorn like renegade band party posters and hung them up all around San Francisco, and and it was that I was really pleased with how many people recognized it and remembered Bjorn and solved the puzzle on the poster and gave us a call.
That'll be so collectible someday.
Yeah.
Framed in your penthouse office.
Well, you can hope. I hope I can put my hands on the one remaining one that I had around here. If I could, I'd show it real fast, but there we go.
Okay.
All right. So one more last question looks like, because we're just about out of time. Are you really the Illuminati?
Yes.
Oh, wait, I'm getting told we're out of time. Sorry.
Maybe.
I can't answer that one.
Oh,
Too bad.
I don't understand the question.
Yeah, it didn't really.
But
I think you
make sure, folks, this is for Illuminati Confirmed. It's a computer version of an Illuminati game coming soon. It's on Kickstarter now. If you go to our chat window down here on Twitch, you can see the link that goes to the Kickstarter that launched today.
It launched last night, but today's the first day.
Today's the first day of the campaign, and it runs for 28 more days.
Yes. Last night, a few minutes before midnight, that was day 0. This is day 1.
Yeah, for
Day
sure.
1 of the campaign. So get in early, check the videos, read the rewards, and join us for yet another version of the Illuminati.
Yeah.
Maybe the real one this time.
Yeah. And the goal is that every Friday we're actually going to be showing real progress on the state of the game, to Steve's point.
Oh,
so,
great.
Every Friday there'll be a video showing where we are, and we think you're gonna like it.
So subscribe, follow those updates, and keep up on it.
Please. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Steve. Any parting words?
Nord.
Stay illuminated.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next week again on Steve Jackson Games Live.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.